Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best? There is no second best.
Welcome in to Discover Crypto, the Blockchain Basement, BitLab Academy Consortium Show, the aftermath, the chaos. Kelly Kellum was there with me this weekend. All hell broke loose. We had hundreds of billions of dollars in liquidations across crypto, Wall Street. This is going to be a fun show. Kelly, how are you hanging out? How are you doing? I see you're at the homestead like myself. I'm here watching the kids, watching the markets. How are you doing, man?
You know, I'm doing good. I feel like we're getting a bit of, that wonderful shakeout in the markets. I don't know how to switch those. There we go. Yeah, but I mean, this is shocking people. Feel like the market's over. And yet, if you really think about what happened, absolutely legendary washout. And yet the price held above $100,000. In fact, if you look at this on the daily, we not only did that, we saw a massive, almost $14,000 wick from down here all the way up to where the bulls ate it back up. So I'm doing good. I feel a little bit bad for people that were over leveraged or leveraged in the wrong spot or didn't have a stop loss, or the stop loss didn't get hit the way they thought. I think this was a weekend of lessons, but we're here. Disco fam, we're going to do this together. And, you know, I've talked about it a lot. I lost $100,000 in 2 trades back to back a few years back. From being over leveraged, from not practicing healthy risk management. So I know what it feels like, believe me, but let's get into it. There's overwhelming bullishness that I'm seeing with a little bit of caution, but let's dig in.
Absolutely. And, you know, here on the docket today, we're going to look at the Trump tariff war, chaos, and the aftermath there within. We also have a highlight, a lot of charting, obviously, to do with Kelly Kellum on Bitcoin, but there are a immense amount of opportunities that just got presented out of what I see as the solidification of at least a tariff and trade war, currency war with the US and China, and major upside from some deep picks, some crazy things that are coming to the surface in the necessity for the nation state of the United States to retain power. And there's some companies behind them that actually are looking like pretty good investments for me today. And also JP Morgan signaling that we are surely on track to print tens of trillions of dollars here. So I am definitely still heavily overexposed to crypto and investments. And I hope that you stayed safe out there and most of your position was in spot and or cold storage. This is why we emphasize not going with the farm to the leverage trading portfolios here, guys. You please be careful out there. So now let's take a look at this. We got the action here at Druth Crypto. Obviously, Kelly Kellum at BitLab Academy right there. The logo is so perfect. I wish I had my logo, but I have a pretty good logo on right now. BitLab Academy. Now, get through this. Follow us at Discover Crypto and Kelly's channel, BitLab Academy Blockchain Basement. The markets are sitting in not too bad of a spot right now. Don't need to log in. Don't know why it logged me out. $115,000 for Bitcoin. Not too bad. There's been some major losses, though, some losing of power. Now, a lot of these new projects are showing the most blood. We have XPL, a little rough here, Kelly. 00, also a little rough, right? And I heard that you made some moves this weekend, seeing the volatility. I think there was a project Avantis you were holding leading up, to the big crash. When you're holding, because I'm a kind of a simple trader at this point, it's, I don't have too many altcoins, but that was kind of a new project. And it is a very interesting project, kind of a hyper liquid competitor on base. What were the kind of moves that you made leading into this crash, Mr. Kelly?
Well, leading into the crash, there was a slightly different context, right? I think in the crash, it really highlighted how over leveraged the market was. The rise of Aster really brought a sort of frothiness to the excitement about what you could see potentially in other projects that could follow suit. And so, I had kind of layered in a little bit into AV&T, Avantis. And then when the market crashed, I saw a bit of an opportunity. I actually added to the position, and then I did what I really want to just reinforce with everybody out there. In life, when you fall off your path, it's better to stop running the other direction from the path and figure out a way to get back on the path as soon as possible. I remember you and I talked shortly after the flash crash happened. I was like, yeah, I layered into AV&T, and it was just like, wait a minute, why am I doing this? Not because I don't believe in AV&T, not because I don't believe in some of these other assets, but it's like, okay, if the market's showing a sort of a cleansing ritual right now, we're seeing things shake off. We're seeing it become Wall Street focused in terms of how the capital is going to shape what's going on in the market. And we're not entirely sure. We're going to break down some charts in a little bit that are showing some critical signals, everybody. So stay tuned for that. That if we're in a slightly risk questionable moment in the market, why not layer into, or at least position some of your stuff into safer plays? So
Yeah.
was it an incredible buying opportunity as well? So I ended up making some profit on that small addition I did on Avantis. I was still down on Avantis overall, but recaptured that on that initial repositioning. And then I just rolled all of that position into Chainlink and added a pretty good chunk.
Dude,
at a great
I was
price.
so mad. I was trying to buy Chainlink. I remember I saw the price go down like $8, and I had a good amount of dry powder. Exchanges that my dry powder was on, the orders were not going through. I was trying to buy Chainlink. That's the one I was most interested in getting. I did end up getting just a little bit, but let me know in the chat. I saw a lot of people leaning into Chainlink in the morning show. I'm just curious if anyone, I see some Mammo buys were able to be done. I was really FOMO. I was trying to get some more Chainlink though. That
No, but sure. It's a good question. Everybody in here, did you buy anything? And if you did, let us know what you layered into. And if you sold, if you cut things out of your portfolio, let us know what you cut. It'd be interesting to see what kind of moves people were making here in this market, because everybody's got a different lens. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm positioning for, but it might not be same in line with what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like my mindset's gone very focused on just a few altcoins I feel is risky enough for me. I think that what this weekend and Friday's liquidation really showed is just how early we really are. I really feel
But also
that way.
always have dry powder ready. No
Mhm.
matter how you think it's running away from you, $124,600. And then within a couple days, the market flashed down to 100,000 flat on some
Right.
exchanges. So that's a $24,000 discount had you had dry powder on the sidelines.
And I had it. It just, exchanges weren't letting, and then, I could go on a whole tangent about exchanges, but let's cover what happened. This was the top liquidation event in crypto history. This was, looking like it's verifiably 19 billion. There's sources going up saying that it's, in the $400 billion wiped out, snagged 169 link. There you go. Good grab. This is Yeehee. This is part of the leadership of Binance. And she's talking about significant fluctuations, 16 hours, caused users to encounter issues with their transactions. This is across the board. I mean, Coinbase, and this is the main issue that I took with this, Kelly, is that I feel a high degree of risk in the concentration of where liquidity comes from in crypto. But also on the bullish side, it painted just how early we actually still are to having a truly, systemically at peace, sound system in crypto. And I do think that it's possible. And I think Bitcoin is eventually going to cause financial responsibility to be a requirement for even nation states. But the tiny little pinprick that we saw be done this last Friday, not just in crypto, but on Wall Street, really paints a picture of just how thin these order books can get at a time in the systemic risk that is just a push away from experiencing even traditional markets right now. There's a lot Bitcoin can fix, and Bitcoin excites me because if the system wasn't broken, then what would Bitcoin be here to fix? Bitcoin is disruptive. There are cracks within the traditional financial sector, and cracks is a very easy way to put it. I think I'm being pretty reserved when I say that. The system is crumbling and it needs somewhere to crumble into. And I think Bitcoin's going to receive that. But man, this volatility this weekend was absolutely insane to see. Binance pulling liquidity. This is a good write-up from Hanzo talking about it. And it was very interesting, Kelly, I thought, to see the Trump tweet about the tariffs coming, a slight Bitcoin price movement, and then Binance's timeline when they pulled liquidity really being that kind of cascading kick over the edge of the cliff, so to speak. You know what
Well,
I mean?
here's the deal. We all need to take responsibility for the money we have in the market, whether it's self-custodied, whether it's on exchange, whether we're trading it long-term, short-term. You got to take responsibility for the assets that you have. Did you lose money because of Trump's tweet? No, it's not possible. If you lost money in this market, and I'm not saying that because I like Trump or this or that, I'm saying that specifically, if you lost money in this market in a liquidation event, it's because you accepted the risk that you had going into the market, whether it's 2x, 1.5x, 40x. You have to realize you are putting your asset at risk. I saw some people post, somebody was retweeting somebody that said they had lost their life savings and it was so detrimental because it was his entire DCA bag. How do you lose your DCA bag if
it's hot on
a liquidation? That's not, I mean, that's now, unfortunately, we can reverse engineer what exactly happened. And we all are trying to, and we're doing it. You know, in fact, this right here, I was on a space the other day with Cryptos R Us, and he pointed out that many of the exchange partners he had specifically said that they could not do anything because Binance locked the liquidity. A lot of these exchanges out here use liquidity cross between different, through Binance to different exchanges.
That's a systemic risk in my opinion.
So if that happens, is it right or wrong is one question. Can it happen again is another, but also how are you positioning yourself? This is one of the reasons you talk about this, Drew. I talk about this. This is one of those reasons why you have to make sure that you're not trading, even if it's spot. You don't trade your entire portfolio. You do not enter a position, especially on, even if it's 2x, because there was 2x leverage points that got washed out because many altcoins went far beyond 50% down. They went down 65, 70, 90%. Some of them, like Adam, went down to 0.001.
I was talking to my pops after having Plume went down to 1 cent. I mean, it was just absolutely brutal. You know, and as things sit right now, it doesn't seem like this tariff situation is going to stick. While the market's panicking about this, Polymarket, it looks like isn't buying it. So, bettors are saying that it has a 13% chance of being in effect by November 1st. So that's kind of the thought process right now. Kind of an easy blow over type event, and that's where if you call it copium to think that some sort of deal will be waged, I think that's a little bit far. Some of it sounds like that to me when I'm listening to it, but JD Vance came out talking about Trump is willing to be a reasonable negotiator with China on the tariffs. These are absolutely insane pictures. What is going on here? Crazy. And also KFC. This is the silver lining. KFC meal vouchers being issued to some people who lost everything during this week's past crypto flash. And it could always be worse, Kelly. It could always be worse. Like we could be in this type of situation right here.
All right, here we go. In the case of 8-week-old Midnight, you are not the father.
Could be way worse, right? Could be way worse. So, there was other things to focus on this weekend. Did you take your dog anywhere? What did you do after the big crash, Kelly? Like, how did you decompress from it? Tell me what you kind of went through this Friday.
First off, I'd love to just show everybody a couple things. This is what we saw on the market that day. Okay, this is what we saw on the market that day, and it really hurt people. This is like, it just felt like it was never going to. It bounced on the 786, and then it just completely just tanked over the course of a very quick time. And look at that. But if this is a 3-minute chart, guys. Oh, this is a 1 hour chart. My bad. 1 hour chart, complete meltdown. Well, let's go back to what actually happened, because if you look at it, look at this zoomed out just a touch, sideways for about 90 days, and the price, all of that we saw on the 1 hour time frame. This is all that happened. The price came down, retested a multi-year trend line and this descending trend line from the top. So if you zoom out, we're still on track to have these higher targets. Will we get another washout to the downside? maybe, but I'm going to be buying in that gift from God buy zone. But I'm
Mhm.
still the fact that the levels were defended so ferociously on Bitcoin only gives me more conviction about where we're going, especially with the Fed rate cuts coming later this month and then likely again in December. So what did I do on when this was happening? I was on a Spaces talking about it, and it felt scary for the market participants, but I had literally 0% in leverage positions at this all of last week because I saw just some bearish divergences. It felt a little unclear, and it was just sort of like the inklings of looking at the market data. So I looked for opportunities to buy, and then I relaxed on Saturday, did another Spaces, and then hung out and walked the dog and hung out with my girlfriend. So yeah.
Speaking of Spaces, did you catch this clip of James Wynn live? He
Hey,
took
no,
to
no,
Spaces.
see,
Let's have a listen.
Explain why you think it's a joke. Tell me.
Well, okay. So right, okay. What level, right, okay, fucking hell. Okay, let's start fucking talking numbers. How many hold on, let me get to my punch page just so I don't mess anything up.
You know, that was absolutely crazy to hear. This is James Wynn with his mouth closed. Here's James Wynn when he opens his mouth, right? But, I was thinking about how in the world could one of that intellectual capability have made hundreds of millions of dollars? And it's like, you know what? There's hope for everyone. If someone like that can make hundreds of millions of dollars, so can you, right?
Hey,
So
Thread guy made millions and millions of dollars, and he panic sold the bottom.
right.
I mean, so
And
not
that's-
everybody that has a lot of followers or that interviews big people have a huge amount of experience in the space. And I'm not calling him out as a person because I just think it goes to show that you need to have conviction in this market. And the conviction comes from doing research, understanding, like show my chart here, realizing that we've been here before, guys. These orange dots are not just random colors on the chart to make it pretty. This is when the market gets into extreme fear. Now we got a lot of extreme fear on the downside here on the bear market, and that was enduring fear. But when you're in a bull trend, you see that it gets closer to this buy signal here. Launch didn't quite get there, still neutral, but in this 40-ish range. Launch, oh my God, 74,000 down to what was that, 48,000. Launch when score 22, so down in this zone again. The market was over, dropped to 24, right in the zone again. And I was talking about this the last 3 weeks about this is exciting, but I'm kind of looking forward to something sub 30 to really be a buy signal. So again, market cycle is really just doing what it does best, and we get so lost in the short time frame emotionality of it, we keep thinking it's over when it's only just begun.
Yeah, no, I think we're okay. So we need to talk about some pretty interesting stuff here because yes, crypto and I think data science and the expansion of technological innovation is very much so in the vein of crypto, thus adding excitement. But this was really quite a fascinating rabbit hole to go down here. So the deeper you go into semiconductor supply chains, the less believable it comes. And I believe we talked about this Carl Zeiss company on Friday, but TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, a company on a small island, produces 90% of the world's most advanced chips. The same company relies on a Dutch company, ASML, for the EUV lithography machines, the machinery to actually produce the chips, right? Then ASML depends on that mirror company, Carl Zeiss in Germany, the only firm in the world capable of making the mirrors precise enough for ASML's requirements. Then that light source for ASML's EUV machine is produced by a single company in San Diego, right? These pinch points of production throughput on literally the most important parts of, nation states' ability to outpace each other to advance. This is painting an immense opportunity for me, Kelly. Not just like these companies, obviously within the chip sector, but then Blackstone came out, talked about the next big thing is chips, data centers, and power. This is that new deal concept I've been talking about happening for years. And it was a offhand comment by Larry Fink in an interview. He was on CNBC or something like that. They were talking about what is, a bigger play that you see happening kind of faster than anything. And Larry Fink was talking about data center, tens of trillions of dollars being printed for data centers and AI rollout, right? They're talking about the first two to feed on the third is U.S. electricity demand climbing 40% in the next decade. Obviously that nuclear power sector, right? Data centers, infrastructural upgrades, and then the chip production there within, and all of these different tickers of companies that are systemically important to making this happen. Supply VST, CEG, all these different ones. I'll give this a repost here. I am starting to find immense interest in these as well. We're seeing JP Morgan announce a $1.5 trillion plan to finance national security, U.S. national security industries across defense, energy, AI, and quantum. So it's all happening at once. Can you keep up? That's the question. That's what I see with all this happening is, can you keep up with the amount of money that's about to be printed and translated to the markets for this? And this is another great write-up. I'm going to retweet this one. This is all playing into along the same lines, intelligence layers, energy production, but these things matter. I think within this, you're going to see capital controls. You're going to see U.S. interest in keeping its money in-house inside of U.S. investments, right? So avoiding capital controls that I think are going to come over the next 10 years as the U.S. nationalizes strategy, nationalizes intel, are important to keep in mind. 941 talks about being invested in American companies. Ooh, bless you, Kelly. That's a big one. That was a big
I
one.
tried to hit the mute button, but you know how when you go to sneeze and your body locks up, you're just like, yeah.
I love it. Trump cycle betting on the U.S. Now, this is in essence a trade currency war right now. I think things will escalate. Capital controls are absolutely on the table, so keep that in mind if you're looking at out of American investments or vice versa. Now, gold hit all-time highs again this morning, $4,100. A really big melt up in gold. This is largely driven by central banks across the world buying 15 tons of gold in August, 27 monthly purchases over the last 28 months. So central banks are layering in, they're backstopping their fiat currency. The conflict is not, we're seeing this news today, Kelly. Trump went, and I don't even want to say the country he went to. And he's talking about being able to announce the beginning of world peace. So also on that same end of conversation, Iran better behave. Is the world peace like I feel like every time they announce world peace, it dumps the markets. That's what I feel like, just momentarily. And then
Let
you go
me
back
just
to
say,
war.
I am not allowed by the social media overlords to really say the order of operations of how, what, where, and why I think these things are taking place. But I love the meme that you had, right? Or the meme somebody posted on that first image right below it. I want peace, but I want to hate Trump. Even Obama and his write-up didn't make one mention of Trump when he was talking about peace. We need to everybody, every one of us, we need to give praise and thanks to everybody in the world that are doing good things, whether you like them or not. You can dislike certain things they do, but also praise. You reinforce the good and you cast out the bad. That's what we all need to do as people.
Yeah, and I love this comment. All of these events happening at once are very suspicious, to say the least. I think it's almost like a DDoS attack on the average person's attention span. So they can literally do whatever they want in terms of, turning us into a hyperinflationary, over the edge debt bubble, a popped debt bubble. They can bring all of these events at once. And, the PSYOP continues. Bill Clinton at Coinbase. Did you see this one on your bingo card? Bill Clinton spotted outside of Coinbase's office. Clinton coin on base. Are you buying? Chat. Would you buy Clinton coin? If Bill Clinton dropped a meme coin tomorrow, are you a buyer or are you holding off on that? 1 in chat for yes, 2 in chat for no. I just am curious. Kelly, what say you? Are you buying Clinton coin so Hillary leaves you alone? I know I'm cooked either way. So
maybe if it's called that, as I put in the chat, maybe if that's the ticker.
Oh, the missing emails. Absolutely.
Well, here's the deal. The market got shaken out, but degens are going to degen. Okay. People lose the lottery every week and they still go back and play the lottery. I think we're going to see some softening of posture right now in the super risk. But all we need is for instance, Bitcoin to get back above like 120, 121,000. And you're going to see people trying to catch the long again on leverage. It's just what's going to happen. You're going to see a lot of people in the altcoins. I actually saw a super chat we just had a minute or two ago. BC said, do you still think we're still going to get an alt season? Well, I want to just highlight something that I've been sharing on here on the show and on X for the last 2 or 3 weeks. This very similar framework of the price action and what we saw last cycle to this cycle. I want to just highlight. I posted this on X when price was up here, and I actually even made comment. I was like, I'm not sure if we're going to get a black swan or something that fills this out. I did not move this. You could go look back. I think like October 1st, like the last week of September as well. This was just a box as a suggestion because of this. And miraculously, look at this. I mean, this nearly entirely filled this box. In addition to that, on the day of the washout last week, I shared this chart, and I shared the chart when this was up here, and I said, man, this could be really bad for altcoins if this were to have something that melts down that comes into this. And that's, I mean, look, I did not change this from Friday.
I
this
know,
almost
so crazy.
perfectly.
And it was so nuts because I am so hard to turn bearish, and literally like that morning.
This is a family show.
Well, we were talking, and I was like, you know what? It looks like it's going to roll over. And that chart that you showed me, the one, I mean, you showed me this chart, and I was like, okay, Kelly, I mean, this looks very reasonable, and so I was like, all right. And holy God, man, hopefully it remains a wick. Is it going to remain a wick? That's the
well. This goes back to the conversation. Matthew Hyland made a great point that kind of further illustrated some of the things going on in the market. I don't have the tweet on hand, but I do still think the alts are going. I think it proved that we're a little bit hot in terms of how high things were, and people are like, but it hadn't pumped yet. Still, I think there's a shakeout. There's a little bit of a shakeout in confidence at the moment. I think Bitcoin is going to sort of outpace for the short term, near future, midterm, but we're seeing things like this. We're seeing CME Future Group, Sol and XRP options launching today. Okay. This is further sort of integration with Wall Street. We have all these ETFs. There's so many ETFs that are going to be integrating with different altcoins, XRP, Solana, Aave, Chainlink. I mean, the list is ridiculous. And so Matthew Hyland pointed out that maybe one of these flushes was also, this flush, one of the reasons might be getting things when it looked like a nuclear time bomb in terms of how much open interest is in the market and leverage, flushing that out before Wall Street could actually enter without having this nuclear event there that happens right after people start getting involved in the ETF. So maybe this is the reset for that. It doesn't matter what the reason is. I think asset classes endure if they have value. And I think many, not all of the altcoins that are out there have value. The question is, how is the market going to react over the next 3 months?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is. That's a great side note. And, within the alt realm, it is notable that there's Chinese banks that are getting involved with Binance. There's Chinese connections. China Renaissance Bank reportedly in talks to raise about $500 million, a little bit more, to invest in BNB with Yeezy Labs, expected to join the deal. So you have nation state interest on Asian markets and the Chinese interest, and then you also have American interest and American companies, right? So it's good, and seeing this competition is actually extremely good for crypto, right? To see, nations and banks both with systemic failure points and risks that are looking for applications of crypto where they can, better increase the flow of liquidity, like as we see with the interest of treasuries and stable coins here in the US on a much broader scale. But within that, there is, the fact that Binance provides this massive chunk of liquidity for crypto. It's kind of the elephant in the room that I think isn't going to be addressed this cycle, but it paints a picture to me that we are much earlier than I could have ever imagined in crypto without that really being addressed. Because I see the nation state stacking in. There's literal, massive, massive power structures that are interested in seeing crypto succeed at this point. They're competing for the process of controlling and, kind of experiencing the upside of the bags. They're fighting over position in crypto. We're in a good situation. The Binance elephant in the room, I don't think is going to be like let me ask you this, Kayla. Do you think the Binance liquidity elephant in the room is going to be dealt with? Is it going to be dealt with in this cycle? I think it's going to, I don't think they're going to acknowledge this until 2030.
No, I think it's responsible. And I'm not saying they are responsible. I'm saying, I think it's responsible for too much of the liquidity for too many exchanges. And their user base is just, it's ridiculously high in terms of the amount of people that use Binance. What I'd be interested to see is in the next 6 months, if CZ gets a pardon and they actually deploy Binance back on US soil, or if they put a bigger push on Binance.us. Is CZ going to be involved if he does get pardoned, or are there some of those restrictions from the previous sentencing? Even though he gets pardoned, are they still going to have restrictions on him being involved with running the exchange? I don't know. I think all those things could have, and it could be argued that it's bullish or bearish in terms of price action, kind of like you see with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is has a big impact on what investors' confidence is on Tesla, whether you like him or not. So I think they're too much of a behemoth. My question is going to be, does this catch wind of this? Because we already saw the Senate and House Democrats suggesting ridiculous legislation for the DeFi agenda. And it makes no sense. I hate seeing something like this happen while all this legislation is being debated, because it gives, I don't want to say ammunition, but it gives more credence to some of the nonsense that the democratic restrictions are trying to impose, which we don't want cooked in as this industry is getting off.
Yeah. Veteran Crypto had a great note I tagged for the show today. Veteran Crypto runs DeFi crypto airdrops, a brother channel that does all the DeFi deep dives. Take the power back in crypto, onboard your fiat, and get it off exchanges. Centralized exchanges are what's used to destroy retail. Cold custody is king. It's important to note that a large contingent of Bitcoin is still held in private wallets, right? So that is very, very healthy for crypto. For Bitcoin, the ETFs, they're picking up pace. I saw, and you mentioned it was the XRP and ADA ETFs. Is that what's coming for us? Do we have?
There's approval? Like 8 or 9 or maybe even more Solana ETFs that are basically due or just past due, but the government shutdown is kind of limiting how fast they can move on those. XRP, there's a ton. Avalanche, there's a bunch, especially index ETFs that are going to be available as well. But there's, I'm going to have to look it back up. I don't have it on hand right now, but James Seifert and Eric Baltunas both have highlighted that there's like 100 different ETFs that have applications in at the moment.
Right. There's a whole, and it's like, we're in a situation, I don't feel like all altcoins are going to thrive. I do not feel that way. I think it's going to be a pretty selective alt season, but it's looking like a good alt season nonetheless being set up for us. This is also important. This month on the 21st of October at 9:20 a.m., we're going to have Sergey from Chainlink, and then also someone from Jito Labs as a moderator. Rebecca made it on today, and this is very, very good signal of systemic applicability of Solana products. Seeing Jito Labs allowed to be the moderator at this. This is a board of Federal Reserve governors, right? That's going to be speaking here. Sergey speaking there. It looks like a piece of Solana infrastructure was allowed to have someone there as a moderator, which is very good. Honestly, I can close my eyes and feel good about Chainlink bags pretty much where it is. In terms of price, I don't really care. It's a very systemically important crypto that, it's probably $19 right now. I don't care. I tried to YOLO in more and back the truck up, but I want to, Kelly, I think it's about time to look at my question after all of this dust has started to settle. Are there altcoins that you're seeing shine and rise faster than a larger portion of the market? Because oftentimes these end up turning into the runners over the next few months, the projects that get beat down and just bounce back really aggressively.
Yeah, one of those is Morpho. Let's take a look at Morpho. Morpho had a legendary, look at this. From this peak, now let's do it. Let's be conservative here. that had a 68, 69% drop. The wick itself, and this is on a 1 hour candle, the wick on a 1 hour candle, this is just insane. All the way back up 123% to the upside on the wick. And it recovered, I think, among the fastest. I'm not sure if it is the fastest, but this went back above where it was before. So this is looking incredible. We still got to watch for this trend line. Let's go a little bit further out. This rising level of support here, where support. We're right in this zone right here that we already have marked out, which, it's looking like it wants to fight its way through, but we don't just look at price. Let's look at the data. RSI is still it's on its way up. No bearish divergence because this is lower also, you see, but the money flow has exploded here. So I'd be watching this for, yes, I'm bullish, but watching this for a little retrace. If there is one, because as long as we get a retrace and we defend a much higher low, especially above the golden pocket, and I don't mean the golden pocket measure from down here, measured from about right here. If we defend, above $1.74 on any drop, I'd be remarkably bullish. This looks like it wants to just break out from here, though. Track is another one, which TJ was really kind of talking about a couple of weeks ago on the show. And I mean, look at this. This doesn't even look like anything happened on it. This is just going to the upside.
That's been years of pain, though. I remember we covered it on the basement. We did it. It was part of like a upload video, and it was at like extreme lows. That might have it. Yeah. I mean, we were like,
and interestingly, look at where it's at right now.
Yeah, running right into that. And you know what? Might be exit points being created by it. Might be it's finally finding its footing. It is.
I'd be watching this. I'd be watching this level right here. Now, why? This is going right through that. Well, you see this bounce. This is chopping around it. This is rejecting, and we also had a rejection right here. So if this pulls back, I'd be watching on the bullish pullback. Either forming some sort of bull flag here or bouncing somewhere in this region, 50 cents up to about 55 cents, bouncing here. That would give indication that confirmed move. This is likely going to try to make that swing to the upside. But yeah, I mean, it's just, even Link, guys, I mean, I'm so bullish on Link. And look at this, even with the sell-off, oh my God, it's so scary. Where did it go? It went into a bar on the chart that we've had here for probably a year and a half. It bounced right where this bar would be, this sort of liquidity interest zone, but also multi-year trend line all the way back to 2021, 2024, 2024, right here, 2025. All it did, yes, price sold off, but found support, came right back, trying to be back inside this zone. So I'm very excited about Chainlink, even with this price action. This looks very bullish to me, that this was able to recover like that. BNB is just melting faces yet again. Look at that. It did have a sell off. People say it didn't sell off. It did. Found support right on a line that we had on here from a week and a half ago. Found support and now touched new all-time highs today. Yeah,
I mean, nothing is structurally broken about this pullback. One project that I think died before my eyes, though, Kelly.
Solana bouncing right on a multi-year trend line. Look at this. There is bullishness here. What project?
MYX. This was within the, kind of a exchange battles type zone here. Let's look at this thing. Yeah. So, and this is kind of, you found like the OG chart of it. It wicked all the way down to those flat lines, but God, I mean, this thing actually, the reason why I'm curious about this is because this is a really vile, fast moving project. I actually had some really effective longs and shorts on this thing. So, I'm thinking of this thing as a potential future graphane pain where we see the decentralized perpetual hype going on right now. This might be one of the losers right now. And I've just seen some people bringing up that they're thinking about getting back into trading on this.
I would wait. I would personally wait until this gets back above this trend line here. Yeah. Because I mean, this isn't a deviation. This is a breakdown, came up, rejected the trend line, tried to get back above it, rejected the trend line. So we know this is an area of interest. I'd be watching for a breakout up to about 454. And I wouldn't mind missing this because I would want to see this either take it, find support and go, or reject, find support, confirm that move, and then catch that on the break of that second time.
Right. When I was like, I came into the office, I'm longing crime and shorting utility. That was the crime I was longing, and it actually ended up going really, really well. So, Kelly, there's a lot of charting I think that we need to do. Obviously, I feel good. That's great that Morpho looks so good. I felt it in the portfolio that things weren't that bad. What are your thoughts on Near? We saw Near just starting to catch some love, some hype, some action, right? There's actually some momentum coming back to the Near charts and the chatter on Twitter right before this major crash. I think we're still trapped under that $5 zone. Hasn't had its breakout moment in a really, really long time. So, I'm kind of curious your thoughts on what Near is. And AVAX is another one. You guys are kind of inside of my brain, like Near, AVAX, these other layer ones. The bomb's gone off. Who's got their footing and who's able to stand up and keep going here?
Well, here's Near. I measured a fib long. I haven't looked at this chart in a while, but the drawdown here, rejection at the 382, fairly bearish in the if you're expecting this to go higher, if this rejects and has weakness right at the lower side of a rejection point, not even the golden pocket, and then came up, caught people again and then broke down. Well, this had bearish divergence coming into it, so we kind of had a good idea that was a good likelihood. I mean, look how much lower the money flow is, and look at this. This came almost up to the same level. Breakdown. Yes, the Near did have a bit of a move back up.
It was just starting to show life. It didn't even have its move, man. And then it got kicked in the balls right on Friday, and just all of it.
Well, this is what I like until we got this, but then every coin in the ecosystem had that. Realistically, or the majority of them did. But when I look at this, I look at Near. This is the 3-day chart, mind you. So it might look different to you because you're probably looking at the 15-minute chart, everybody. But let's look at the 3-day shape here. This is a trap. Boom, comes right back up in. The reason why I'm looking at that is because when you come back over here and you look at Avalanche had that similar sort of move right here where it's round and then it broke out. This came right back to the line.
Right.
But going back over to Near, where's that at? There it is. As long as this holds, I would say above this zone, this zone right in here, which it's already sliced through. That's the wick. If this could maintain above this, I would maintain near midterm bullishness. If this pushes up, I'd really be watching this zone right here. I'm just drawing this zone right in here. Where all of this rejection is. Why there? Because look, you have all these bounces as well. So I'd be watching, I'd be kind of, I don't want to say hands off. I'd be a little cautious here until we make a move below this or we push up and we're able to clear this because there's so much contention and fear fraught in the market right now. I think it's ripe for very vulnerable triggered moves. So just a bit of caution.
Absolutely. And then this is a great question. Flexa, who do you think, what are the ones that are going to become dino coins next? I say ICP. That's what I think is going to be known as a dino coin pretty damn soon. Kelly, what's the coin in your mind that you feel like people are just holding and they are going to be beholden to them waiting for an escape pump, say a year from now?
Oh man, that's a hard,
it's a good question. It's a juicy question. This is the content we come here for.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. XRP. No. I'm teasing. I think XRP has too strong of a community for it to ever truly die. I think despite the narrative conflicts of what people are expecting versus what's transpired with Swift and some of the other banking stuff, people forget how big the banking industry is globally. They very well likely could get some really strong banking integrations despite what Chainlink and Linea are doing with Swift. So I wouldn't count that out. They know a lot of the right people. But I don't know. I think I
had to hit you with the sauce. I had to do it. You know what I mean?
It's just an interesting cycle.
XRP's not bad. XRP's not a bad pick. I mean, we've seen number 2 projects go very awry. This is also an interesting thing to look at. Look at this, Kelly. The Bitcoin dominance, the weekly. ran up by, I mean, from bottom to top, I mean, it ran up by 8.2% and is all the way back down, now pointing red at the start of the week. Altcoins showing a little bit extra strength here out of the gates. This is actually a very bullish signal for me, in my opinion, right? I mean,
Well, yeah. So go to my chart.
yeah.
So the reason why that's bullish is because, yes, this sucks, but much like the Bitcoin $14,000 wick where bears tried to take it down and the bulls brought it all the way back up, that is kind of bullish, kind of identifying a very likely bottom has been put in, and we might chop around in this zone for a bit to get confidence before it moves up. It might rocket up from here, but that bearish wick that the bulls dominated, eating up so much of it, is a bullish indication. Similar with altcoins, this bearish wick where this candle went up and the bearish brought it all the way back down, this is very bullish for the altcoin ecosystem. If this, and look at where we're at right now. Let's go to the 8 hour.
It's actually an incredible signal. I can't believe, I mean, this matters a lot, what we're seeing here right now, that wick being eaten up like that.
Yeah. And if this comes down like it is and bounces here and has a small little bounce, then we'd have a pretty large head and shoulders if it doesn't just slice right through this. But this kind of looks to me like if we go to a clean chart, let's go to this one right here. Go to Bitcoin. This kind of looks to me like just like what does a bull trend do? Every bull trend, rise, retrace, continuation, retrace, continuation. Bear trends do the same thing. Fall, bounce, continuation, bounce, continuation until that trend ends. So yeah, I'd be I got my eyes on this right here because I mean, this did exactly what Benjamin Cowan expected. I don't think he expected to see it on a 4 hour chart. wick from 59% all the way up to 63, 64%, and then back down. But I do think the system's flushed, and it's very exciting that, that we're here and we didn't get liquidated. And, anybody that lost money, learn from it. You're better now from it, grow from it, stack differently from it. And don't over leverage your life savings, because that's not life savings if you're putting it on leverage.
Absolutely, man. Well, you know what? Let's get into the rest of everything you want to cover. I know you got some other charts and stuff. Had to bring them up. Just some things and just answer some questions. Yeah, I still got my DAG. Actually, that's one of the very few micro caps I have. I still hold a little bit of Mamo as well. I'll go check out the chart later on today and see if I want to keep, buying it here. Who died? What? Who died? What?
There's a Ukrainian guy that was found deceased in his Lamborghini, but and that's very sad. And I don't. We all need to find grounding.
Trading.
And we need to find grounding and gratitude in life that's not directly tied to how our portfolio is doing. And Drew knows it. I'm in office with him every day. I get frustrated sometimes because I have expectations that aren't being met. Expectations are not plans and they're not strategy. Things are never going to go as you expect them. And diving in a little bit more with the Ukrainian gentleman that ended the journey. It's speculated that he also was a part of a project that in the loss, it wasn't just his loss. There was a 30 million or something that was lost of different participants' funds as well. So I think the weight was a bit heavier there. But guys, just like Discover Crypto, we are a family. Get in our Discord, get in our live chat. We're here because all of us, Drew stepped in it before and made a bad trade that loses a bunch of money. And
I lost $1,000 on Friday in my leverage account, and then the other thing that was brought up that I want you to kind of maybe touch on if you can, or get input from the chat here. Kobe came out with this. Probably one of the most severe flushes he's ever seen in alts. Didn't even imagine alts had this much leverage in them. It feels like someone got hit very hard, and you will see a large body float to the surface soon, reminding him of a little bit of the summer of 2021. So maybe a big over leveraged player that's kind of a big name right now might be found out to be caught swimming without any clothes on, caught skinny dip in there. So I'll let you cover all your charts next, Kelly. But man, you're right. It's a good day to be alive, a good day to appreciate fresh, clean air. All right, I'll let you take it away from here.
Absolutely. I think we'll keep that going. Shout out to Drew. Everybody, make sure you're following him at Druth Crypto and of course Blockchain Basement. But I think Kobe brings up a great point. If we look at what happened in 2022, we had the Luna collapse that then cascaded from that into Voyager and BlockFi and Celsius, and all the way ultimately into, there's more, but all the way ultimately into the FTX collapse that marked the bottom of that market. And so what's interesting about where we're at in the cycle right now is people are still debating that, we may be in a 4-year cycle, we may not. Well, the fact that we just had the largest liquidation event in history in terms of how much open interest was flushed, I think it was like 40 billion was flushed from the altcoin market, I believe. And, a huge amount also across liquidations and so on and so forth. But there are going to be players, and I don't know who it is. And I'm not talking about individuals that are that are leverage trading that got liquidated or got flushed out. I'm talking about institutional players or large projects even that have mismanagement of funds in terms of they didn't have a good risk adjustment of how they were managing the funds that were in the ecosystem. So we got to be very smart about what's going on right now, because although we feel good that we're getting a bounce in the market as we're looking at this, right here, I'll just go on this right here. Yeah. Looking at this right here, this bounce, this doesn't mean that this is going to ultimately just moonshot from here. This is just a bounce on a wick. And Piano Matty B famously says, where it wicks, it very likely could candlestick, meaning we could actually have candles print that come down in here and find support before we make a larger move. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's something you need to be aware of. And similarly, with what we just saw the other day, I already have indication from other KOLs in the space and other content creators. A friend of mine, he got reached out to by a very large project that was basically scrambling to find somebody to buy coins from them on a discount, and it would be a huge amount of coins, but coins from them on a discount because they were looking for liquidity because they basically had some mismanagement of funds, a little bit too risk, what's the word I'm looking for? Not risk adjusted. They were exposed to risk in ways that they probably shouldn't have, especially if it's, something beyond just funds that you are trading as your own, that you're holding as an institution. But when you're custodying other people's capital, or if you're custodying your coin, your assets that are meant to be your operating account for your business, you're not supposed to be trading those funds or having huge exposure to a basket of crypto and stuff like that. That is different, having custody of something versus actually exposing things to unnecessary risk. So I do expect there to be some things that rise to the surface over the next week or two of, some people that were identified as swimming naked in the market. But before we wrap out here, I do want to cover a couple of coins because, Ethereum, I just want to highlight this for the altcoin ecosystem. Ethereum, although we got that big washout, notice what happened. We have a trend line that goes back to 2021. Rejection here, rejection a little bit above it, a bull trap. And then again, rejected right at that zone. We have pushed up. We have never come back down and retested the zone. So in reality, if you didn't even know the news, if you did not even know the news, you could just look at this chart and be like, oh yeah, the price pushed up. It came back, retested it, flipped to support, and then you can make the move. You could assume that. I mean, you could look at that just from the charts. That's why they say, show me the charts, I can tell you the news. Okay. And so what we're seeing here is an opportunity for this to maintain this sort of level that it's at now and push up out of this. But you've got to be aware that, again, this is a 3-day chart. If we get down to the 4-hour chart, look at that beautiful bounce, wick below, and then the candle bodies closed above that trend line and then ultimately bounced right at it, came back up. So, and look where we're at. Look at where it stopped, right at this previous range highs, range lows. So if Ethereum can break beyond this zone, then we're still going to be in a sideways range, but you're starting to get a more bullish posture. If this rejects here, then all this is a dead cat bounce, and this is likely going to come back down and test into the mid 3,600, somewhere between 38 and 3,600 again. Okay. So just be aware of that. If you look at the ETH to Bitcoin ratio, I mean, nothing that bad really happened here. Still in this general trend to the downside here. If you ask me, let's actually remove that. If you ask me, this also looks a bit like a descending broadening wedge. This actually looks bullish. So all that happened in that structure of the breakdown that we saw the other day formed a bullish structure here, a descending broadening wedge. Now, it doesn't mean this has to break out of this now, but these tend to be broken out of to the upside. Now, this still could come back down, get, test this lower side again. The point here right now, it's a cautionary zone on the markets for what we're looking at. I do think the outlook is the second half of October. I'm still leaning towards that we're going to make people that sold at the bottom be very upset. I still think, October is not out of context. October's not broken. We're still in October right now. We're not even halfway through the month. The last years, when we've had very bullish Octobers, the second half of the month is when the most bullish price action has transpired in those markets. So we just need to be a little bit patient and have conviction in the assets that we have. If you need to do reshuffling, reshuffle, but don't do it because you're jumping between moving horses. If you're moving because your narrative thesis has changed, then that makes sense. But let's look at a couple of these. Plume is at a good buy level, says Wispy. Well, let's look. I haven't looked at Plume. Let's take a look at Plume. And we're going to look at a couple, and then we will roll out of here because I know somebody's got to hop in the studio to do some stuff. Alrighty, let's look at that. I mean, look at that washout. I mean, golly. I mean, that's like kind of like what you saw in Adam with the sort of, this isn't a real sell. Yes, the price went down great, 90%. This looks to me a lot more like we were talking about with the liquidity on Binance getting locked out for a lot of exchanges that were trading stuff. So there's no liquidity and the price drops and there's nothing in the order books because the liquidity is locked. Boom, flash crash right there. This looks more like an erroneous thing than anything. So I'm going to look at this by candle bodies. Let's look at candle bodies here, okay? Because this doesn't make sense to draw a trend line down to that wick, okay? So we're going to look at these candle bodies, finding support here. And this is, kind of bouncing there. We have a doji candle, spinning top candle, meaning the candle body, which is the wide part here. This is from the open down here and to where it's at, where it's going to close in 3 days. This is a candle body. The price in this 3-day period has traveled this entire zone, which is what these wicks are. Just sometimes you're like, Kelly, why are you telling me the basics? Because you're not the only one listening. There are new people that listen every day and they don't even know what the hell a candle is. So we got to throw the rope back to them as well. So when we're looking at this, what do we see? We see a potential reversal candle, much like this. See how these reversal candles are starting to form? And then you get this momentum up. Well, why is this? Bearish momentum, larger bearish momentum. And the bearish momentum now is waned. It's kind of neutral here, right? So the momentum is showing more neutrality here, which tends to happen in this oscillation from the bullish narrative to the bearish and the bearish narrative to the bullish. So what does it look like if we zoom in a bit? Let's get down to the 1 hour, or the 1 hour chart here. So we had the washout. Again, this was a bit of a black swan sort of look here. So this price action, V-shaped correction up. Now we're finding support. So what we want to do on the 1 hour chart is look for a potential breakout of this trend line right here. Rejection, and it's getting squeezed into this zone. So it wouldn't surprise me, even though this very likely is going to move to the upside, to get a bit of a washout down before we get that move, something like that. If it doesn't happen, then watch for the breakout wherever you reject, which likely could be about right here at minimum. If it just goes all the way up there, previous range high, watch for a bit of a correction there and then the move like that. That's how you can risk adjust. Risk mitigate yourself by not getting in like right here. I got to get in. And then what happens? It melts off. So you sell because you're worried it's about to crash again and it holds up. So then you buy again and then it sells and you sell again. Be a little bit more patient here, guys, with every asset. Always. I see another one we had here. Fetch AI. I haven't looked at Fetch in a minute. Is it actually it's boom. Let's go here. It looks exactly the same as what we just saw on Plume. So it's going to be the same thing. So just draw that line, right? Watch for the breakout or a bit of a washout down before the next move. It's coming very tight in there. This is a 1 hour chart too. So I expect a move. A move will likely come out of this soon. It doesn't mean it has to be the full reversal, but could be brewing. Cardano. Let's go to the 8 hour. Okay. So this really didn't have that big of a move on Coinbase, at least. But I'll be watching coming back up into the zone. Why? Because the bounce. This is the area I'll be watching. I wonder how that corresponds with the Fibonacci. And look at that. It's we're at the 382 now. The Fibonacci, this is going to kind of be an interesting zone right here because you have the previous range lows, and then you have the golden pocket right here, the 618. So I'd be watching 75 to 78 cent zone on this. Can you do one on Proppy? I haven't looked at Proppy in a minute either, guys. You guys are pulling up the old school bangers. Proppy, 4 hours, zoom out. Let's get a 3-day. All right. I mean, we got a higher low, so I'll give it that right here. But it's not. It doesn't. I can't tell if it's done yet. We have the money flows coming back up. This tried. Look at this. This tried to pump here. Look at this. Money flow tried to pump, and the price did nothing. I'd be a little cautious on this one as it stands right now. But that's what I'm watching. This bounce. Look, bounce, rejection. So it's back on the positive side of that. Kind of a bit of a falling wedge with the deviation there. Yeah, I'd just be a little cautious here. I mean, that's what I see. I can't really give you any look at exactly where the price is right now as well. Look at that previous range high here. Bouncing right there. If this is able to hold, I'll be watching for a move into this zone and then a potential move up. And I'd be watching about this level right here. Why? Because you have all of these rejection. This is the zone I'd be watching for a little bit of chop before a move up if you get the move up. Avalanche, also pretty big sell-off. Let's delete some of these fibs. Delete the fib. Pretty big sell-off here. Came right back up into the zone. Let's draw a fib. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Fib. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a bit of a patient season right now for many of these coins. Aster, even a really big sell-off on Aster, right? But kind of recovered a bit. And where did it reject? Right at the previous range low. Boom. So this is nice, and it doesn't mean it's over that we rejected here. But just like everything, when you get a bounce on an asset, I always say you don't need to grab the bounce. Like you don't need to get the bottom or get it because it's going to run away. Because more likely than not, you're going to get some after effects, right? Some fear, some people taking profit as it starts to move up. A little bit of a rejection. So what you want to do on a bounce is wait for a correction. Look at the strength in that correction. You go to a smaller time frame of potential reversal, and you can be aggressive on it, or you can wait for this to break this range high, and then you're actually starting that trend is more confirmed. And you know, I mean, right now the price is coming down where previous range high. If this loses this, I'd really like to see this in some regard be a higher low than this. The money flow is up though. The RSI is trying to move up, but look, where is this at? I talk about this all the time. Rejected right at the 50 line. So it's trying to get strength in control, and weakness is still in control. So I'd be watching for this to break up and the RSI to break above this 50 line on this 4-hour chart. Money flow is trying to tell you the signal that it might be coming. But the problem with this, if you're going to front run based on something that because you want to catch it the majority of the move, you also have to either have a tight stop loss or be willing, not be putting a huge amount of your capital at risk because you're worried that because you're not risk adjusting for if the market goes opposite direction. You don't say, I'm going to catch this aggressively because the money flows up, and you put 50% of your portfolio in that position. This is why you diversify if you are trading, you know, very small partitions of different assets across different things. You guys keep asking about Mamo. Let's look at Mamo. Price action, nice bounce. Look at that. W formation. Beautiful. Our money flow is down, but super oversold. The money flow is starting to tick up right here. And money flow coming up. RSI, look at this. Above 50 line right here. Money flow is starting to round out, though. So it's starting to show a little bit of slowing of the money coming into it. If this rolls like this and comes back down, then this will likely just be a dead cat bounce up into these zones. Look at the zones that it's in right now. Kind of right here, this sort of zone where this bounced, this rejected, this bounced. This bounced, right? And it's right in this territory right now. If this rejects here, again, it's not the end of the world, but this is also one of those patience things. If this rejects, watch for either a bounce here at this previous range or all the way back down into this zone here, kind of where this general neckline is on that. And that will tell you the strength. If this falls right through it, then this will likely have a bit of a continuation to the downside. But on the larger time frame, you're getting the start of a bullish signal, giant W formation. So if this can clear up into this zone right here, previous range low there, potential rejection here initially before it blasts through, but this would be a sort of midterm macro breakout for Memo if that happens. But this has been battling negative money flow the entire time. So, guys, the market has been telling us these things. A reminder, as scary as it was, the breakout here, the breakdown only came to a multi-year trend line, found it as support. I still think these targets are in store. And again, the fear index is signaling those fear buys. Look, score 22, boom, bounce, score 24, bounce. We're in that zone, 27. But remember, we got 1, 2, 3 dip buying opportunities in this consolidation breakdown here. We got sort of a grouping here. So this might be the start of a territory for you to be buying in, meaning we may get some chop here, some residual, body shakes after the seismic, record-setting liquidations we just saw. It would be awesome if we just moonshot like this right out of it, but it feels more likely we'll get something like this, where we kind of bounce a little bit, fall back down, fear, extreme fear again, because it must be over now, bounce again, so just be cautious here. We're in a very good opportunity zone in the market. If we're a little cautious in terms of how aggressive we want to be, if you're not using healthy risk management, but I think we got a lot of room to grow in this market. And I still think October is going to end green. That's my assumption, but I'm curious, everybody here right now, do you think we're going to end October green? Type October green, or I just put 1 for yes and 2 for no. If do you think the market's over? Do you think the cycle's over and we're just in the after effects of this little dead cat bounces? I surely don't think it's over. I think we're going to be pushing into 2026. I think that's going to really make people angry that got out when the market dipped the other day. But we got to do this together. Let's see how many people said they think the market's going to end green in October. Q4 at least says tiny lens tails. But I hope you're all safe and sound, and keep learning, keep stacking. Let's be smart. But that's all I got, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Stay tuned for this message from my partner, Arculus. Adios.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.